I will say our audience loves video games. Obviously, it's a lot. Our audience, especially, is a lot of Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Okay. So I have a great story.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what people? There was literally a lot of comments from our audience saying, just what do they like as far as video games? What did you guys grow up with?
My first system, I think we had an Atari 2600, but it was sort of pre-cognition years. But I remember getting an NES for my birthday, 1987, I think it was. So it would have been November of 87, and it just. I just got goosebumps thinking about the feeling of having it hooked up to that giant wooden cabinet television in my living room and turning it on and just Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt coming together. And
it does like the little thing.
Yep.
And the TV makes like the pop when you turn it on, kind of the static pops out.
Oh, I used to run my finger on that.
Fingers on it.
But that just started it all for me. And I probably had a problem at 10 years old because it's all I wanted to do was play Nintendo games. And I remember distinctly in third grade when Super Mario Brothers 3 was just about to be released. And I had the phone book open and I was calling every single toy store seeing if I could, at the time, pre-order it. I mean, I didn't think about it that way, but I was like, can you save me a copy if you have it? Nobody had it. And there was a girl in my class named Heather. And she, I think it was a show and tell thing, or she just wanted to talk about it. She won a copy of the game before it was released.
Wow.
And I'm 10-year-old or 9-year-old Jason's just sitting there thinking, if I start dating her, maybe we can I would have
rizzing her up.
I would have a fantasy of us like having a romantic dinner and looking into each other's eyes, and then like television commercial style, we both turn towards the camera with Nintendo controllers.
Oh, dude!
Right? But then when I finally got that game, that was it. I mean, it was just hours. I remember one day.
Commercial idea too.
Two 9-year-olds like two dorks. But when I finally got that game, that's all I played.
I think it's really cool that you said you got goosebumps because I'm always such a big believer of how powerful nostalgia is. I got to meet even a while back when our show almost got picked up. We got to meet with Morgan Freeman, and he was talking with us about, the possibility of the show getting picked up, this and that. And he was like, I don't know if I have nostalgia necessarily. And I knew in my head, I'm like, if I just start talking about some stuff, something's going to catch him.
Yeah.
And I started talking about different things, and I mentioned Donkey Kong. And before I knew it, I could see nostalgia in his brain starting to turn without him realizing it. Yeah. And he started telling me stories. Oh, and I used to pop in quarters and this and that. And in my head, I was sitting back. I'm like, I just got Morgan Freeman to unlock his nostalgia.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, and I was like, what a cool thing.
I only imagine him in his voice only, too.
That's how he talks.
He's like the narrator of my brain.
He is the narrator. What about you, Pete? What's your favorite game of all time, too? I want to know.
Ooh, favorite game of all time is such a hard question. So I started with, I had a Atari 26. I'm older. Atari 2600 was my first thing, but we were always a little late to the game. My parents weren't. They didn't have a lot of money, nor were they hip, and so it took forever to get a computer, blah, blah, blah. Yep. But we got an Atari 2600 with 65 games from a garage sale, and then that was in the basement hooked up to that big cabinet television.
Score.
And then when we finally got Nintendo, only my sister and I would play it. And so it was hooked up to a 20-inch, maybe 17-inch black and white TV.
Yep.
Yes.
So I first played Super Mario Brothers in black and white. I didn't know what it looked like in color until I went to a friend's house.
They make this in color.
And then when Tetris came out, and my parents were like, "Whoa, Tetris is cool. Let's put it on the color TV." And then they stole the Nintendo. Essentially, we kept playing it because they wanted to play Tetris. Favorite game of all time is almost impossible for me.
I know it's hard to pick, but I always just pick what's that game like? If someone gave you a modded console with every game on it, what would be the one you'd be like, oh hey, do you have this?
Old school or just in general?
You could be even Xbox 60, how you kind of
because I got way into Call of Duty, and we were talking about this earlier. I got way into Call of Duty when my brother was serving overseas. I bought an Xbox 360 because they couldn't talk on the phone, but they had Xboxes.
Yeah.
And so I could talk to my brother in Iraq and Afghanistan on the computer. And so I got super into Call of Duty.
man.
And then when I moved out to LA, I had roommates that also loved Call of Duty. And so we would just play nonstop from, the first one. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I think, is probably the one that
I was
really
just
gets
as addicted to the point where this USA in the brackets, that's
Yeah.
my clan tag. So
No, I mean, I feel like it's very relatable because I feel like a lot of us had that's how we communicate with our friends.
Wow.
And it's
Back in the
interesting.
day.
I know in the retro gaming world too, there was a period where Call of Duty kind of became like the thing to make fun of, like, oh, of course, another Call of Duty. But there was a golden time of that period that you're
Absolutely.
saying where Call of Duty was like by far and large the best first person shooter experience
100%.
in the market, no matter what.
Hey, the new one's good too.
Yeah, so you did some voices in it, correct?
I did. I haven't played any of them though. I was out of gaming at
Got
that
it.
by that point. Yeah,
Fake voice
I
actor.
know, right?
No, he plays this
I'll
one.
tell you though,
Call of Duty, rehire.
that was a great game to work on though. That was a fantastic. Really great experience. Although I do have a follow up because something Pete said made me think of something. What if someone could mod me a game or whatever, and it has one game on it? There is one game. It's for the NES, and I want to see how good you guys are. I'm just going to sing the opening theme song, and if you guys can guess it, okay?
Okay.
And then it'll go.
Sounds like a black box title to me.
Like a balloon fight?
No, close though.
Pinball?
No, close.
Ice climber?
No.
That's a black box title, I feel like, because it's so generic, it sounds like.
Is it really?
I'm a huge NES music guy.
I've only been playing with it a little bit because he's giving me files with music on it. And
okay.
So
I'm normally we've done NES music trivias, and I'm like the king reign of it. So I want to know now.
If
and
I
it's
said it
killing
was
me.
in space and you shot things, would that?
Invaders? Space?
No.
There's just so many.
That's
You
not
just have to
NES.
tell
That's
me.
every game.
Galaga.
Oh,
Galaga.
see, Galaga. I'm not a big Galaga guy, but that's what you would go to.
It's one of my dude.
Really?
It's my top three. Maybe it's my favorite of all time.
Wow.
Mega Man 2.
Well, Mega Man 2 is right up there. But my dad and I used to play Galaga
There you
together,
go.
and it was just such a probably the only video game bonding experience I ever had with my dad was playing Galaga.
Awesome.
And so it was just I loved Galaga.
And that's how powerful nostalgia is, because sometimes it's not even the game that's that great. It's those memories of the game that are like
100%.
so. Like I know me and you were talking about Super Spike V-Ball earlier, and I'm like, I love when people talk about that
Love
because
Super
not
Spike
everyone's
V-Ball.
hyped on it.
It's so great. It's
Okay,
such a good game.
I don't want to miss it, or the audience will kill us. Okay,
right,
let me get
All right,
one
that's
audience
fine.
question out of the way. This is from Irish Boy 6633.
He's an Irish boy.
Do you feel that you are the definitive voice for your character, Sonic and Silver?
No. I mean, here's what I really have thought about this. Does that or all those words? I feel like I was the last cartoon sounding Sonic, because my Sonic sounded like this. And of course, he started like this. In Sonic X, he sounded like this. But then by the time we finished with the video games, he was cooler. And I feel like everybody who has come after me is more, it's just their regular voice. Like, I feel like Sonic has taken on more of a human aspect voice-wise now than when we were.
I get that totally, but I guess it's just an age thing, right? Like for me, I picture more the goofy kitty sounding like you're doing. For me, just because that's what I grew up in that age range.
And that is the vast majority of people that we're meeting at conventions are saying you're the voice that I most identify with, because that's who I grew
and that's
up
all
with.
it's gonna be reality for anything in the world. What about you, Pete?
I will humbly say absolutely.
I would say you have to.
because I created the voice
Yeah.
and did anything that actually had a Silver storyline, I was the voice. And so, other than making, I have nothing against the other guys that I think two other guys have voiced him in subsequent games. I haven't played those games, and I know there's no storyline for them. So they're kind of just like saying catchphrases and or making noises or whatever. And good on them. I hope they do and make
Stepping
tons of
on
money
business.
doing it. But
Speaking of that,
yeah.
Omi's Pokeverse says, question for Silver.
Yeah.
What's the better catchphrase? It's no use, or Tails has just lost it?
Ooh, it's got to be. It's no juice, only because
Because that's what happens every time he does that in a crowd.
He said the thing because it's a meme.
Yeah.
Like the second. Because people are like, "Hey, I'm so sorry to ask you this." Like,
Yeah,
when we're at conventions,
for the millionth
but like,
time.
will you say it? And I was like, "Dude, happily." Like, I have something that became a meme and is so revered within the Sonic culture. Why am I not going to love that?
Yeah.
My son has never played a Sonic video game, but he just asked Pete to do that catchphrase 17 times today.
I heard him at the swap meet. It reminds me of, I've gotten voice actors, it's very similar to, there's a Simpsons episode where Bart says, there's a lot of different catchphrases, and there's this one famous line from Millhouse where Bart gets known to say a line a lot, and he says it all the time. And everywhere he goes, and I feel like you guys might get stuck in this sometime, everyone's just looking at him in the room, and they're like, say the line, Bart, say the line.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't do it. And then it became a rap song and all that stuff as well. Let me get a couple more. They'll be kind of rapid fire. I just want to make sure that our audience gets, they get heard. From the Shiny War Turtle. Before you guys voice the characters,
the shiny war turtle.
before you guys voiced your characters, did you have any idea who the characters were?
Of course.
You for sure.
I just got a vague description. As a matter of fact, when I was voicing my character, I still didn't know what the hell I was talking about in that first game. When they were like, his first line was, "I finally found it, the Iblis trigger." And I was like, that sounds so cool. What's an Iblis trigger? Like, I had no idea what I was saying.
I like that. I have to read one more. Let's see. What is okay? I have to get it in for the audience. Let's see.
You're fine, man.
What will we say here? Someone said something about it's a question for Sonic from Omni's Pokeverse again. Whoops. Do you prefer Ryan Drummond or Roger Craig Smith? Or do you not want to answer?
Well, I don't have a preference. I mean, I've only met Ryan. I've heard Roger's great. I know Roger's a great actor. No problem.
You're on a road trip. From the East Coast to the West Coast.
There you go. Put it in perspective.
Who's sitting next to you?
I'm so glad
Roger
you're
Who's your
Ryan.
co-pilot?
Yeah. I'm gonna go Ryan because I just feel like he's more into tech.
That's messed up, dude. I
no,
can't believe you
don't
picked
know.
somebody.
I have no idea. Who can read a Thompson guide? Because we're not GPS in this.
I love those questions.
What is it? Thomas's guide.
Yeah, Thomas
It reminds me of those questions my brothers and I used to ask each other, like, all right, dude, if you had to kill someone, like, let's just say, like, you had to kill mom or dad, just pick. And they're like, dude, I'm not going to answer. Would just pick. Then they pick. You're like, dude, why would you say that?
Would you rather kill someone or be killed? That's the
Kill someone.
Kill someone easy.
right.
What do you want?
I'm just
We're not
kidding.
making it out of this shit, dude.
I gave him an idea. Yeah.
Fast
Thanks,
answers.
man. That's a new question for everyone who gets on the podcast. Where are you at, Curtis? You're the time manager.
What is like one of your guys' like you guys can choose? It could be either voice acting or production and stuff like that. What was one of your favorite projects to work on?
Oh my god. I mean, that's like such a hard. You go ahead.
I have one because I was so lucky to be on this. So I was on. If you guys are NFL football fans, which, the crossover between video games and football fans is
Not the
huge.
biggest.
But there was something before NFL games for a couple of years called Wriggle's Picks, and it was Rob Riggle doing his football picks.
Yep.
And it was sketch comedy stuff, and there were always celebrity guests, and I was part of the comedy team, which was just such a blessing. And Rob is like the best, and the writers wrote specifically for myself and for my wife, and so it was really, really cool to be on there. But my first day on set. We're on set, and I'm working with some great people like Paul Scheer and like just really great comedy guys. And my scenes with Rob, and then they're like the director's like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's her 98th birthday, Betty White. And Betty White walks onto set, and I was like, who's here? And it was the funniest thing. So she walked onto set, and there was a sketch where like. There was a stormtrooper in it, right? So know that there's like a couple of celebrities and a bunch of actors and a stormtrooper. And she walked in, it was ladies and gentlemen, Betty White, and everyone's clapping. And she goes, "Oh, I know you. And then pointed at the stormtrooper and went, "I did you." Just right. It was her 98th birthday.
Wow.
And she was like right on it. Yeah, it was so great.
Wow, that is awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I love that. Dang. Are you going to move it on to
I
the
was
next
waiting
one?
for him to answer this project.
I mean, that's
He doesn't like to answer.
I know.
I do.
Say about
if
the
you
one
had to
time you were in the
choose-
booth with me.
Politician answer.
The one time I was in the booth with Pete was magic because he looked at me and said, "I did you."
Any other
So I did a commercial. This must have been like 28 years old, 27, something like that. It was for a new medication. It never made it to air.
I wasn't expecting this to be your answer.
No, it was on camera. It was on camera, and it was just me and this girl, and it was supposed to be in the vein of a soap opera, like melodramatic. And we shot on a soundstage, but they made it look like, we were like in a jungle somewhere. And, she's like, I don't know what to do, Chet. We're going to die out here. I'm like, we have one more match, Anna, and it's our last hope. And then I strike it, and then she sneezes, and the match goes out, and it's for allergies. But they let us riff on... They let us do just a bunch of whatever we wanted to do, like improv wise. And I just remember over and over just making the crew bust out laughing with these ideas. And a bunch of them I'd written on a napkin, and the director referred to it as the napkin of genius. And I was just like, and they're like, we're going to do tons of commercials. This is going to be great. It's going to be a series of these. And then it just got axed because probably people died taking this medication or something.
Dang.
Like they got the sniffles and then they're in a coffin. So that was such a great experience that didn't pan out. So, if that had, I think that would have been...
Did Betty White play the girl?
She was there sneezing a lot.
Yeah.
Because she had done so many stormtroopers.